Welcome to Ford High School Weekly. I'm your host, Deon Amade. On this week's episode, we got a lot of soccer highlights for you, so stay tuned. But first, it's always important to come first. And that's exactly what the Jones High School Lady Longhorns did, as they took the first girls state championship in school history as their lady basketball team took home the gold ball. Right here to talk with us is the head coach, Jenni Holbrook of Jones High School. We got Jenni Holbrook, the head coach for Jones High School, and the girls did their thing this year, didn't they, Coach?
We did the thing. We finished what we think we started last year, which was make the state tournament, and we weren't able to play last year, and this year it was kind of our mission to make sure we get back to where we ended last year. We were denied at the door. Literally, we got to the state tournament, got to the big house, and there was a sign on the door that said, come back later, basically, essentially. The games had been postponed, and we never got to go back later. So this year it was important for us to make it back to where we ended last year, and we did that.
So on the hardwood, what do you think was the determining factor or the thing that your team did so well that propelled them to that state championship?
One, my guards have motors. I mean, they can play hard for 4 quarters. They don't stop. And that's primarily on defense. They will be in your face. They'll put pressure on you. And they don't ever run out of energy. I mean, it's a great thing as a coach. And then we had length. We had 2 6'1" post girls and Trinity and Tears and Moore, the twins. And not a lot of teams, especially at the 3A level, have seen that type of length and that type of athleticism. They are athletes. They're all athletes, but these are lengthy athletes that can jump and score and run and, all of those things. So the combination of those 2 things, I think, really propelled us over the top.
So okay, let's take it back real quick. So for the people who don't know, you guys were one of the favorites last year to win the state championship. And on your way to the tournament, you literally didn't hear about it. Nobody told you, nobody notified you. You came up to the door for the stadium and literally there was a note and said, yeah, game's canceled. Do we have that correct?
Right. We had a little clue. We had a town rally, or the whole town of Jones came out. We had a pep rally downtown at the 4-way stop. Everybody came out. I mean, we loaded up. We were excited. We got on the bus. We went probably about 10 minutes away from the big house. I got a call from our trainer, who is our trainer here at Jones, but also was going to work the state tournament. And he said, hey, I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm not sure if they're going to have these games. So that we had a little bit of a hint. And then, we arrived at the big house. The team that we're supposed to play, Eufaula, was already in the parking lot. Fans were already there. They were all waiting outside, which was kind of weird. I thought, oh, well, I guess, I don't know. I didn't know if they were greeting us or what. And they said there's signs on the door that say, games have been postponed. And sure enough, we walked up there. I took a picture of it. And sure enough, they were postponed. We didn't know if we were because we were the first game that day, the very first day at the big house, we were scheduled to play. So we didn't know, are they postponing it till tonight or tomorrow, next weekend? We had zero clue. I made my girls line up and take a picture in front of the big house because that had been a mantra of ours was to get there. No girls team at Jones High School, softball, basketball, track as far as a team had ever made the state tournament. And so we had finally made it and we weren't able to play. So, and then turns out, we never got to go back and play. It was just really just canceled and ripped right out from underneath us. And yeah, we were 26-1 going into that tournament, and we were ready. We were ready to play.
So take me back to that feeling. You're coaching these young women, and their school has never made it to a state tournament or won a state championship of any kind
Not
as
on
far
the
as
girls'
girls.
side, right? Not on the
Exactly.
girls' side. If you walk into our gym now, matter of fact, when I was first hired, I saw a whole wall of you make the wall, you get a banner on the wall when you make a state tournament, and an entire half of a gym is filled up with boys' banners. We won the football state championship in 2016, won it in baseball in 2017. And I asked the AD when I was hired, I said, hey, where do you put the girls' banners? And he just kind of laughed. He's like, there are no girls' banners. And I didn't know that when I was hired. And so, yeah, it became our mantra, which was make the wall, which meant try to get a banner up on the wall and what it meant to get up there. And so it was the feelings when we weren't able to go in and actually play. And it was tough. It was hard. It took a while. I didn't even unpack my bags to the state tournament until probably end of October. I mean, it was hard. We had to go through a mourning and a grieving process of that team. And just because we had 8 seniors.
Wow.
And so we lost, and that was, and 37 points of scoring.
When we return, Coach Holbrook reminisces on the 2020 senior class and the opportunity they missed out on to capture that gold ball and how much it meant this year when they actually got to do it. When Ford High School Weekly continues. Welcome back to Ford High School Weekly. We're talking with the head coach of Jones High School's Lady Longhorns, Jenni Holbrook. So you guys continued to practice last season when there was still a decision to be made if they were still going to play.
100%. I called the OSSAA. I figured out Dale, who's right up the road. We were going to come back. So we could keep playing and prepare for the state tournament. We were going to scrimmage. We were still practicing and playing. And we couldn't come up to the school, but I was sending at-home workouts. And then when we got back from spring break, we were going to scrimmage Dale. We had got that approved because at the time the OSSAA were still trying to do everything in their power, I believe, to try to have the tournament and try to work it out. And, that whole thing with the NBA player, coming to Dale City. At that time, there were 11 COVID cases in the state, I believe. And so we shut that thing down for 11 COVID cases. But everyone at that time, hindsight's 2020. It's easy to make decisions now based on what we know now. But at the time, it just wasn't going to happen. And that was tough, making that call or sending out that message to everyone that we weren't going to get to play. Then we didn't, get to have the sports banquet, and we had, we didn't really have any closure, so it was tough. But this year we're fixing to host our state championship sports banquet, and we're inviting those seniors back. So we're going to have some closure with them. They're going to get to come back to that banquet.
I was going to ask you that. I mean, with a situation that's kind of unusual where you got a team that's, pressing to state and then all of a sudden there's not even an opportunity for you guys to come together and say, hey, we're not going to play. It was kind of like, it sounded like you guys just sent a message to them via text message or something. Can you explain to me how that was and what that situation was like for you personally?
It was hard. I mean, I think during the whole, looking back on it, there was no doubt there was like some depression and like, it was just shock, and not knowing how to feel or think. And because we had worked so hard, those seniors I had for 4 years. When I first got hired on at Jones 5 years ago, those girls were freshmen. And so we had came so close to making the state tournament year after year. It had just become an all-out mission for those girls. They were committed. They were all in. They were, I couldn't ask for anything better. My daughter and actually our assistant coach's daughter were actually seniors last year and were part of that senior group. And so it was just like fun, the relief, and it was those girls' last chance to get there and to go. And they just we're so excited and so happy. And we went into that state tournament with all the confidence in the world. Our one loss had been Sequoia Tahlequah, who was ranked number one, continued. They're the ones that had beat us in the Bertha Teague tournament that Christmas. And they were one, we were two going into the state tournament. And we thought we just legitimately had a good shot if we made it to the finals, that we had that little bit of revenge factor and we would have been able to do it. Of course, it's easy to say that, but we were ready, we were prepared, and it's a shame that the kids didn't get to play it out and to work it out and decide who was the state champ. I mean, it's just going to go down in history in the history books of the state tournament program it's just going to say COVID, and we hung up a banner, said state qualifier, it was kind of hard finding the words to put on the banner, but it's hanging in there. We got one up there.
Coach Holbrook reflects on a year of change and the career path that led to her success. That's coming up next on Ford High School Weekly. Welcome back to Ford High School Weekly. We're talking with Jenni Holbrook from the Jones High School, who was the girls basketball coach who won their first girls state championship of any kind in any sport. So I want to say congratulations to you. But going back to you personally, how did you find your appreciation for basketball in the very beginning?
This year, it was a learning year for me. I mean, 100% I learned. One, you can't take anything for granted. Basketball is a privilege. It's not a right. It's not something that you just do. We learned that when we were denied last year, the state tournament and those games. This year, we weren't allowed to play in front of fans here at our place, just because of our own protocol here at Jones. We can only control things that we can control. There's a lot of uncontrollables out there. And as a control freak, that's very hard. But as coaches, we like to be in control. And it's hard. It was hard to let go of a lot of things that normally I'm in control over. So this year, this pandemic year, very difficult. It was a challenge for me, but I think I can look back and see that I learned a lot. And hopefully that I grew as a person and as a coach as well.
Speaking of, how did you get your start in coaching?
I've been coaching a long time, just not in the head coaching role. I played at Oklahoma Baptist University and coming back in the 90s. And then in 97, I stayed on as a grad assistant at OBU. And then after that, I wanted to start teaching and coaching. And so I got a job in Choctaw, Nakoma Park School District. And I was there from 1997 as the freshman coach all the way to, I don't even know what year, 2013. And then I went up to the high school as a varsity assistant for 3 years. Got to coach under all those years. I got to coach under some great coaches: Ish Kanadabi, Dandy Peeler, Totsie Manning, Penny Young, who's my assistant here at Jones, and then Ryan Maloney. And so I got to see a lot of great coaching and learn a whole lot. And then by 2016, my kids were older. I wasn't raising babies anymore, and thought this might be a good time to do what I've always wanted to do and to be a head coach. Jones was 5 miles north of Choctaw. I didn't know much about Jones and their high school program or what they had going on. I just took a chance, just thought, you know what, now's the time. This is close. I don't have to move. I don't have to move my family to go get a job. I can just drive to Jones. I'm just going to go for it. And on a whim, decided to come over here to Jones.
You were a player, and now that you're a coach, I want to ask you an interesting question. How do you think your style as a player and your style as a coach compare? Is it similar, or is it way different when you're in control?
It's as a player and how I was coached, yes, because I was Coach Norris is a shooter. He was a shooter. He played at OBU like I did. He was taught by Coach Hoffman, who's at UCO now. That's kind of the continuation of the coaching tree. And what I learned under those guys is play fast, play hard, and don't turn down a three. And so when I'm coaching, like they talk about getting a shot clock all the time in high school basketball. And I'm like, you can put in a shot clock, but we're shooting under 15 seconds probably into the offensive possession. Because if we can run in transition and go score fast, I would rather do that than set up a set play any day. And so, we like to play fast. We like to play defense where we can cause a lot of turnovers, where we can go get some runouts. And I mean, I kind of have shooting wise, I mean, if you've established yourself as a shooter in practice, pretty much I'm giving you the green light. There's some that get the green light, some that get the yellow light, a few that get the red light, but if you get the green light from me, you're good. You should be shooting until I tell you to stop. So, I think that carries over, and I think that's what makes basketball fun. Nobody wants to go they don't want to watch stall ball and boring ball. And I tell the girls that all the time, like, get out and run, get out and play, give people something to want to watch, and that's the biggest compliment that I could receive from fans, that you were just so fun to watch, and we loved playing. That it wasn't boring. It wasn't, it was a game, and so that's how I coach. We want to be something that you can watch and not want to fall asleep.
So the Longhorns are here to sell tickets.
Yeah, I mean, we want, there's a big talk about right now, growing the women's game and growing the girls' game. And I think a big part of that is put a product out there that people want to watch. Nobody wants to watch slow, boring basketball. It is what it is, and so for us, we want to run. We want to be exciting. We want to play good basketball, good, hard basketball. And there's a lot of coaches out there that disagree with that, and their philosophies are completely different. But that's okay.
High school soccer fans, stay with us. We have the Union Jinx soccer highlights next, including kind of a rematch of the 2019 6A Boys Championship Classic on Ford High School Weekly. Union and Jinx met up for a soccer doubleheader on YurView. Here's Mike Zickenhorn and Brian Harvey for the highlights.
Back at the Union Soccer Complex, the girls' game a final. Jinx wins it 2-1 over Union. Take a look at the highlights in this one, and some solid goalkeeping in the first half by Steph Peref from Union, keeping Jinx at bay.
She certainly had a great game in that first half under a lot of pressure. Made some outstanding saves. For here we see the first goal. Great touch by Fitch. Puts it away, as she said, would be terribly embarrassed had she missed it. So, good finish by a good player.
And another look from a low-level angle as well, and able to take it home. And nice angle with the right foot into the left corner of the net. I think she's going to score with both feet, Coach, because the next goal she puts in, watch this.
She changes direction. There you can see it. She uses her left foot to put it away from the goalkeeper. And actually, both goals are very good. I mean, people are always talking about follow-up, but she did it, and she was rewarded for her follow-up. And excellent game by her. And now we see the goal again, unguarded inside the 6-yard box with the task of putting it into the net, which she did very well.
Raquel Finelli with the header. Mackenzie Malum cleans it up, sticks it in. That cut the lead to 2-1.
And again, you can see that Union caught up a little bit at halftime, second half, on the shots and shots on goal. It got very close, 8-9. Corner kicks almost parallel as well. A little bit lopsided on the fouls, but other than that, I think a thoroughly deserved win by Jenks.
Let's take a look at the highlights in this one. Union will get on the board right here, Coach.
Yeah, this was the first goal across from the left-hand side. I think a couple of defenders would be blaming themselves a little bit there, but very well placed in the far corner, and it made the score 1-0.
Jorge Uquiza made it 1-0 at the half.
And here you have a goalkeeper that's really playing safe. He felt that ball could have come back around on him, and again, that's a great snapshot. And here we have the equalizing goal. Again here, left-footed shot gets inside the post and the shoulder of the goalkeeper to tie the score at 1-1.
Eric Quiros made it 1-1 at the 44-59 point of this one. So just 5 minutes into the second half, we were tied. And then late in the game, Union with the corner kick after Jinx had taken the lead 2-1. And then we go to the penalty kicks, and that was the winner right there. 10-9, Jinx wins it in penalty kicks. That makes it a 3-2 final. Wow, unbelievable. This place is cleared out, Coach. Everybody took off. Finally, some stats to look at.
Yeah, again, we look at the stats, and the stats are very close. A little bit of difference in the shots on goal, and a little bit on, well, actually corner kicks level, fouls perhaps a little bit more on Union. But overall, in the game itself, it could have gone either way, and then obviously the penalty kicks went to Jenks for the heroics of Mr. Spiegel in goal, or again, man of the match. Second week in a row.
3 seconds, 2 seconds at the buzzer on the way, and it's good.
Be sure to go to YurView.com/OK for highlights and replays of the fourth game of the week. Check out our podcast from past episodes at YurView.com/OK. I want to thank Jenni Holbrook from Jones High School for joining us today. Remember, guys, it's always cool to be first. And also remember, only the best in Oklahoma make the Ford High School Weekly. So thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm your host, Deanna Mate.